Okay, I'm going to show you a little bit about VirtualBox today. The first part of this is going to be on my desktop computer, so I'm recording my desktop screen, so it's good quality. Unfortunately, I have to transition to recording my laptop using my webcam, which is about the quality of a potato. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing here with better quality so that what I'm doing with the potato quality video camera makes sense. VirtualBox lets you run virtual machines on a computer. When you click the New button here to create a new virtual machine, one key thing that you have to check is that 64-bit options are available. So in this drop-down list, the name can be blank. The type, if it's Microsoft Windows, for the version, I should click that version drop-down list, and I should see 32-bit and 64-bit options. So here I can see both. Now, this drop-down box is a little bit hard to see. Just know on your computer, this is the drop-down that you should be looking for to see if you have 32-bit and 64-bit operating system support on your machine. Okay, this video is going to be a little bit different. I've got kind of a weird setup here because I'm trying to record my laptop screen. Usually I could use screen grabbing software, but you'll see why I can't do that in a minute. So here I'm going to launch a program called VirtualBox. VirtualBox lets you run virtual machines on your computer, and I'm going to dismiss these issues. Here's the thing that you need to have working in VirtualBox to use Windows Server 2016. When I click New here, I should see Microsoft Windows selected, and in this drop-down for version, I should see 32 and 64-bit options. Now, many of you won't because you will only see 32-bit options, not 64, because virtualization has not been enabled in your BIOS. So I'm going to show that here. I'm going to go to Power. I'm going to restart my computer, and I need to watch carefully. As soon as it starts to boot up, a brief message will flash saying, press Enter to interrupt the normal startup. So I'm going to hit Enter right when that flashes. It's really quick. Right there. Press Enter to interrupt normal startup. It says F1 to enter the BIOS setup utility. So I'm going to press F1. And that will take me into my BIOS. So the BIOS is something you don't want to mess around with if you don't know what you're doing. Only change the things I'm about to show you. You can make your computer stop working if you mess up the BIOS. Over here in Security, under Virtualization, so I'm just using the arrow keys to navigate left and right. Security, I'm just using up and down. On Virtualization, if I hit Enter, it'll bring me into this menu where it says Virtualization. I have both of these features enabled. I'm going to disable them. Just hit Enter, select Disabled, Enter. You want to enable them, but I'm going to show you what happens if you do disable them. F10 to save and exit. Exit now. Yes, it's going to save. So my computer is going to boot up just like normal. It's going to boot into Windows. I'm not going to interrupt the startup this time. And all these reboots, that's the reason I couldn't just use screen grabbing software. So it's going to take a minute just for the normal Windows boot. Nothing's going to look different from in the Microsoft Windows interface. The desktop is going to look normal. However, the BIOS controls what features your operating system can take advantage of. So let's see. Oh, come on, my fingerprint does work. Sign in with my PIN. No, thank you. I'm just going to sign in. think that's my right username and password. I almost always use my fingerprint. Not sure why it's not working. But I'm going to start VirtualBox again. So remember, I just disabled those virtualization features in my BIOS. So now if I click New here, in Microsoft Windows, in this dropdown, I only have 32-bit options. So 32-bit is old, 32-bit is bad. I need 64-bit options. So just by changing that option in my BIOS, I have affected the way that VirtualBox is going to run. So now I'm going to show you the process that you should probably use if you see 32-bit options only. So unfortunately, update and restart. Unfortunately, I've got some Windows updates that need to be applied. Now, some of you might not have access to your BIOS. So when you hit enter and you try to enter your BIOS setup, it'll prompt you for a password. Well, if that's the case, you have to go to the help desk. They're the only people that have a password and that can unlock that for you. My BIOS is not password protected, so anybody can get into it. So I'm going to come to security, down to virtualization, hit enter, and I'm going to enable both of those features. The Intel virtualization technology and the Intel VT-D feature. They just have to be enabled. So I'm going to F10 to save and exit. Save and exit. Yes. So my computer's going to boot. So the BIOS is a layer in between your operating system and the hardware. Most people don't have to tinker around with their BIOS. Unfortunately, we do. It's something at least to be familiar with if you're working with technology. You should know what the BIOS is and how to make basic changes to it. You can use the BIOS to overclock your PC, but I wouldn't recommend it unless you really know what you're doing. It does not, oh, there it goes. I like my fingerprint this time. So let's see, I'm going to start VirtualBox now. This is the check to see if I did everything correctly. Ignore. I'm going to click New. And now I see 64-bit versions there for Microsoft Windows. So that's good. That means that my computer is set up correctly now to do virtualization.